So I'm gonna start off by talking about the early years, choosing a high school. I went to a Catholic school for 8 years, and I learned religion and all of that boring stuff. And Catholic schools are a little different from traditional public schools because similar to the Met, you're with the same class from first grade all the way through. And my father was really strict about my education. As a Nigerian man, that's probably the only thing he did care about for me and my younger brother. But choosing a high school was really difficult because they didn't want me to go to public school. So I went to this high school fair at another local high school in Providence, and I saw this table for the Metropolitan Regional Career and Technical Center, and I was with my mother, and I was like, "What's that? Let's go check that out." And I forgot who the representative was, but they did a really good job on selling my mom the school, and that was, probably the most important thing because I wasn't really sure of what it was going to be. The school that takes one student at a time, gives you the opportunity to explore your interests. The school that also, 15 kids to one advisor for 4 years. It was just something that I never heard of, and I wasn't really sure if it was a good fit for me. Then on top of that, they make you go there in the summer for a week for orientation. Like, who does that in high school? So that was something that I wasn't really, but my mom was like, "You gotta go, you're gonna do it." And mama doesn't play those games, so I had to go. So my first 2 years at the Met, orientation went well. I met my advisor. My summer fusion advisor ended up being my real advisor, and he's actually in this room right now. His name is Son Sam. What's up, Son? So, Son and I, early on, like Doc said, everything that he said was true. I was a very comical person. I'm very witty. I was a class clown. I do my best to make people laugh. My philosophy is that we all deserve at least 5 good laughs from the diaphragm a day, just to be alive and just to survive, because we need laughter. Laughter is very important. So I've been head to head with Son a lot my first 2 years. One, because no teenager really knows who they are as far as identity goes. You're still trying to figure yourself out. You're still trying to understand who you want to be when you become an adult. So because I was struggling with those things on top of what I was going through with my family at the time, I really didn't want to hear it from my advisor that, I had to focus and be about my schoolwork. So needless to say, my freshman year was really rocky, and academically, I didn't do that well. Sophomore year, got a little better. I was a year older, a little more mature. My relationship with Son was starting to grow, and I trusted him more. First year, didn't trust him at all, and that kind of comes with the territory. So when I wouldn't talk to Son or listen to Son, and he just washed his hands with me, Charlie Plant, who was the principal of the Peachtree campus at that time, was the second line of defense, and I couldn't have been more happy to have Charlie as a principal and Son as my advisor as the years progressed. But one thing that happened that really kind of changed my perspective on my education as a whole, at the end of my sophomore year on April 6, 2005, one of my close friends and someone who I saw as a big brother figure, Barry Farrell, was murdered. And it was literally one of the worst days of my life. I got the phone call late at night, like 11:30, from another friend of mine. He told me to turn on the news. I turned it on, and the last image I had of my friend was, a pair of sneakers that I know he owned being put into an ambulance on a stretcher with a sheet covering his body. That was my last image of my friend. And it hit me really hard. And if it wasn't for Son, if it wasn't for Charlie, if it wasn't for my mother and the other great staff at the Met that were at Peachtree at the time, I wouldn't have been able to overcome that. And I also had other people, because Barry and I had worked together for a local nonprofit in Providence, and that's how we met. And we were, close the whole year. So for him to be gone and for him to be the only big brother figure I had in my life, it hit hard. And there was no way I was gonna recover from that without their guidance, without their moral support, and just without that structure, because they were my foundation at that time. So that was a life-changing experience for me. So I took my education to the next level myself personally. I worked harder after Gateway into 11th and 12th grade. I definitely made sure that I was, not always on time with projects, but close to it. Son wasn't on my butt as much, and he saw potential in me that I never really saw in myself. A lot of the staff at the Met did, and that made me feel good. That makes all teenagers feel good. So when it came to senior year, something tragic happened again that really it made me feel some type of way. Charlie Plant left to go be a principal at another school, and then Son was selected to be the principal of my building. So, no more Son Sam as my advisor. He's now the principal of our school, and everyone in my advisory gave him the cold shoulder. For 6 months, we didn't want anything to do with Son. He would come our way, spin move, like we weren't trying to talk to him. We felt betrayed. We invested 3 years of our trust in this man, and you went and became principal, and now you're in charge of all the students. You're not just our father figure, and it makes teenagers feel lonely and I felt like he was a little disloyal. But now that I'm older and I'm an adult, I understand that he made the right decision for himself, for his family, and for his career. You know what I mean? And that's something I can never knock now that I'm an adult. I understand why he made that decision. And now he still remains one of my life mentors, one of my friends, and for that I'll always love him. Moving on into college. My college journey was very different, very difficult, very long. Like I said, I graduated in 2007. I didn't graduate from college until 2013, but sometimes it takes that long. 6.5 years. I went to a community college part-time for a year, and then when I finally figured out how financial aid works, because it's really tricky and just a flaky thing, I ended up going full-time for 2 years, graduated, and then went on to a 4-year liberal arts school in my state, Rhode Island College. But at CCRI, one of the things that I really liked, and this I call it CCRI the road less traveled, because a lot of students in Rhode Island from the Met School, everyone's thinking big. I want to go to a 4-year school. I want to go down south. I want to go out of state. That's where your mind is when you're 17, 18 years old. But students don't really understand that that's really not that attainable if you don't have the finances to cover 4 years of school out of state. So I understood that because I had to come out of pocket when I was part-time. That was $900, and I was only working at Tim Hortons, which is like a donut spot. So I had to save all my money and pay out of my pocket, and it's just like, take it. Like, I was so mad I had to give the bursar's office all that money. So I was like, once I figure out this financial aid, I'm coming here part-time because it's free. I got my associate's degree for free. So, because of the federal Pell Grant and whatnot. So once I just figured that out, CCRI was a breeze. And I had some good professors there. I learned a lot. And I was able to help see myself grow as a student, because I was studying better, I had better habits, and I was getting to class on time. And I really didn't get sucked into the crap that goes on at a community college. The cafeteria is where everyone hangs out for some reason. Everyone hangs out there. And if you're in a small city like Providence or a small state like Rhode Island, there's 3 different campuses of this particular school. And you go to any one of them, you're gonna know at least 10 people that you know. And I play basketball. That's a sport that I love. And people would bunk class to go in the gym and shoot hoops. And I did that from when I was part-time, but when I figured out my education was more important, I cut that out. And I had to leave my friends behind, which was really difficult because I didn't want to be that guy that stood out and was all about his education when everyone else was doing what they had to do to look cool. So that's how CCRI was a challenge for me, because I left my friends at school and I graduated, moved on, and they were still there. And when I went back to visit a couple times, they were still doing the same thing. They weren't really into their education like that. But I had people at the Met, Courtney's son, Scott Weber, who was my advisor the year that Son left, to support me and to show me that I really needed to focus and take this education thing serious. And that's what I did. Moving on to Rhode Island College, I was there for 3 years. My first year there as a transfer student was really rough. I was homeless. My mom, my brother, and myself, we got evicted. I didn't have any place to live. So, this was towards the end of that year, but I had to stay on campus. I had to take out those extra loans. Something that I didn't want to do, but I had no choice. It was either that or sleep on someone's couch for the year and a half that it would take us to get back on our feet again. So my mom lost her job. I didn't work because I was going to school full time, and my brother, worked at Subway, so he wasn't about to get an apartment for us on that kind of money. So I had to stay on campus, and it was a very difficult transition, because if we've all been to college, we know that there's a lot of temptation to go out and party. It's my first year at a 4-year school, and I'm living on campus. I'm turning up. There's no such thing as a turn down. So my first semester, I took 4 classes, failed 1, withdrew from 1. Second semester, failed 2 classes, passed the other 2. So needless to say, I got put on academic probation. There was no more room for error. The next semester, I had to step my grades up, or I was getting kicked out. So my second year at Rick, I did just that. I took an African-American history class with a professor that I still keep in contact with to this day, and he opened my eyes to systems and how systems were put in place to keep people marginalized and all of this stuff, all of these concepts that we kind of see with our eyes, but we don't fully understand. So once I took this course, I was like, okay, this is real. It's getting real now. Like, this is something that I want to learn more about. And if I do well in this class, I know I'm going to do well in other classes. And I worked my butt off my last 2 years at Rick. I made sure that I went to class every day. I was emailing my professors. I learned the importance of having a relationship with your professor, which is huge. And I was known by first name with all of my professors by the time I was about to walk that stage, and it felt good. Not a lot of students, there weren't a lot of students of color at my 4-year liberal arts school. Rhode Island College, it's like 9%, and to be one of the only few African-American males minoring in African-American history or Africana studies was a huge deal for the school, because there was only 50 people total that majored or minored in it out of 9,000. So you can start to see, what was important to some students and just what were the trends at the school. So when I finished Rhode Island College, and this is me moving on to support systems, I said I had Son, but Son eventually moved to New Jersey. I said I had Charlie, but Charlie eventually moved to California. So I had Scott, I had Courtney McEntee, who worked for the Met, who no longer does, but she was my transition counselor. I could go to her for anything. She helped me with my financial aid. She made sure that I turned in my FAFSA every year before March 1st, and that was how I was able to stay in school. And she also kicked me in the butt if I was slipping in my grades. So if it wasn't for her and Charlie, Son, and also Patty Bamford, who's not here, but her husband is Aylin. She was at Rick. Her job was to help alumni who were struggling with classes or whatever. Her job was to connect students to resources, and she did that for me and for the other students that were at my school at the time. And if it wasn't for these people, I wouldn't be standing on this stage in front of you today. So it's really important that we remain the support systems for these young people. They need it. It's extremely important. And just knowing that they have adults that are role models for them and want to be in their lives, that genuinely care. I mean, Big Picture is one of the only school systems that does this. We are unique. The fact that Doc, and you look great in red leather, by the way. The fact that Doc and Elliot can get on stage dressed like Elvis and Michael Jackson to put themselves out there and be vulnerable is a testament to how much they love this work. And they've been doing this since the Prohibition days. So, so it's really, really important. And before I leave you, I just wanted to let y'all know there's gonna be bad days, because I was a student that created them. You know what I mean? And I'm happy to announce now that starting on August 18th, I'll be full-time as a Met recruiter / alumni outreach support specialist. So I will be in the shoes of Sun and the shoes of Doc and all the other staff that were around me. I worked part-time this year doing some alumni outreach work, and I felt the sting of how it feels to be disrespected by a student, or to have a student not want to deal with you, or to have a student juke you. I understand now how all of you beautiful educators feel now. I really do, because it's been done to me. And I was brought in because I'm a young African-American male who has a college degree now to help that a little bit, and slowly but surely we're breaking them. But it takes that consistency. You have to be genuine. It has to come from your heart. And on those days where you're feeling burnt out and you just want to say, forget this, just remember, if you smile every day, come in with a positive attitude, it's going to piss them off. However, they're going to remember and think about, well, how can I be as happy as Dennis every day? How can I be in such a good mood every day? What is so great in his life, knowing that I give him hell, that he can come in smiling and in such a good mood? Because I used to think that about Son too. You know what I mean? It's because he cares. It's because you all care. And I'm just honored and blessed to be in this room with you all. Thank you for having me. And hope everyone has a great conference.
All right, that's enough. Wole, there's a video that was made back at school. We'll show you that for a second, Brian.
I nominated Wole for this Alumni Award because he has done some truly exceptional work for the community, both while he was at the Met and since he's left the Met. When I first met him, he was a current RIC student. I knew that he had a lot of success at RIC, and I realized how much our male students in college, especially male students of color, need some extra motivation, I think, especially from other males, as to why they persist in college. And I approached Wole about this one night in the cafeteria at RIC, I think it was, and he said right away, yes, let me know when, I'll come in and talk, I'll be happy to. And he did, and he showed up to 12th grade advisory, and he talked very freely and honestly with this whole group that was mostly boys who were struggling quite a bit, was uncertain about what they were going to do after graduation. And both the advisor and I were blown away at the way Wole was with them and how he got through with them.
There was once this moment in last semester where I wanted to drop out, and Patty allowed me to have a meeting with Wole, and he really found the words to talk to me through not dropping out and continuing my education, and that was really fun because I really found the motivation again to continue, and that was really an amazing experience.
First and foremost, I want to say congratulations to Wole for winning the Alumni Action Award. Super proud of you. You've done a lot as far as graduating goes, as far as being a great Met alumni goes, as far as making my transition to high school to college as easy as possible. So I'm very proud of you. I want to thank you for everything you've done for me and other students, and keep doing well because you're doing really well right now. I'm super proud. Couldn't be more proud. I'm really excited that you're winning this award.
Getting to know Wole a little more, I I've learned how much he has done for the community. He's worked for Ocean State AIDS Care, nurturing infants who are born HIV positive. He has worked with the homeless community here in Rhode Island. He has worked at the Institute for the Study and Practice of Nonviolence as an AmeriCorps Vista member. In fact, he has been doing that job full-time while he was doing the alumni work with me part-time. So Wole's been working 60 hours a week, at least, for the past full year. And at the same time, he never complains, and he's always in a good mood, which is amazing to me.
The Met is a community that cares, and you, with your relationships with people through the Institute for the Study and Practice of Nonviolence and your amazing relationships with my advisory, have shown that you care. Thank you, Wole, for everything you do.
He truly cares about the community, about improving the community, about improving himself in the process and leading by example. He believes in the work he does.
Congratulations, Wole, for receiving the Big Picture Alumni Award. It's well deserving. I remember you here at the Met School, and I watched you just grow to a very positive, caring human being, and I'm so proud of you. Congratulations, Wole.
Congratulations, Wole. I wish I could be here to see you. I hope that you are dressed up, and what I appreciate about when you dress up is the shiny, pointy shoes that you wear. I don't think I ever told you, but I appreciate your fancy footwear. Thank you.